yeah, this is the first guest feature for Spices and Hay in Women in Control. Yeah, today we're going to be going through the gnocchi recipe. Hopefully you should have got an email last night about how much of each ingredient you need and to like pre-boil the potatoes. But if you didn't get the email, then don't worry. I'll speak to the tech team and we'll get that sorted for the future. There's no tech team. Yeah, you don't really need much, just your potatoes, flour, your egg, and whatever mashing device that you want to use. I'm going to use a potato ricer, but a normal masher works just as well. So yes, I've got my potatoes here. Oh, they're leaking. But I pre-boiled them just like big whole ones. And then, but if you haven't also pre-boiled your potatoes, that's not an issue. You can just pop them on boil now, like chop them up, and you can probably catch up with us. But yeah, so got my potatoes, and we can start mashing them into your mixing bowl of choice as well. We want about like 450 grams of potato, give or take. It doesn't have to be like exactly whatever, but yeah, around that. If you don't have a potato ricer, it's fine. These just make like mashed potatoes like extra fluffy, and it's like less work on the arms. So I'd say it's a good investment if you did want to go forward with that. Also, I'm just going to be doing like a normal, like a simple garlic butter sauce to go with it. But it's like completely up to you. You can use like some pesto if you have any pesto, or like a quick tomato sauce. Yeah, for this one, we just thought we'd keep it simple with a nice garlic butter.
I do actually have some tomatoes and stuff here because I didn't have many ingredients, and I do have some stuff that I need to cook, so I may make a little tomato sauce as well at the same time as you make your garlic butter.
I mashed my potatoes already. Oh, actually, well, you might want to put your water on boil now for the gnocchi, just so that it's ready to pop in. Cool. I'm just gonna beat the egg beforehand as well, before I mix it into the potatoes, just so that I get an even distribution. And then I'm just gonna make like a little, it's not really necessary, just like a little well in the middle of the potatoes. And that's where I'm going to place the egg. And then I'm just going to mix in with a spoon. Until all of it is combined. I probably should have said this before you add the egg. Just make sure your potatoes aren't like hot, because otherwise it's going to cook the egg once you like mix it through, which is why it was like off to pre-boil them. So yeah. So once the egg and potato is combined, we're going to add the flour. So you really don't need that much flour with gnocchi. I always try and start with like as little as possible and then just add in as you go along. And you kind of have to determine when it's ready by the feel. You want it like nice and soft, not too meh. I don't know what the word is, but don't want it too tough. So yeah, we're going to start off with about 100 grams of flour. Yeah, 100 grams. Oh, and then yeah, just kind of like fold that in, and then when it's a bit more moldable, you can just kind of go in with your hands and then start to knead it. But the more flour you put in, essentially, like the tougher the gnocchi is going to get. It's not going to be nice and light if you jam pack it with loads of flour, basically. So I'm going to start using my hands now. I probably might need a bit more flour because it's sticking to my fingers, as you can see. So I will turn it out onto a board. Using like a wooden chopping board or like a wooden surface is probably like a bit better because it prevents the dough from sticking. So that one. And then I'm going to need so yeah, that's probably all the flour I might use now, I think. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. It's like nice and pillowy, but it still is maintaining its shape. And it's not sticking to my fingers except for these bits, which were in there before. So fun. It's so light. I'm going to put a bit more. Inside is still a bit sticky. So I think when we sent out the email, it said 150 grams of flour. So yeah, I start off with 100 and then slowly add in that extra 50 if and when I need it. Obviously, if you feel like you need more, go for it. But again, just be wary not to add too much flour because we want them airy.
Shayna?
Yeah.
What would you recommend to do if somebody got their dough a bit too dry? Would they just add water?
Yeah, and maybe try adding like a bit of olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah, olive oil first, or if not, maybe just beat another egg and slowly combine that. Yeah, but if you don't want to beat a whole egg, if you only need a little bit, then yeah. That's not nice. Just going to clean my board. Cool. So if you feel like your dough is ready, mine is still, then we're going to quarter this whole big dough into 4. Need to get a little knife. Once you've got like a nice round, okay, I think I put 2. Yeah. So just get a knife and put your thing into like a nice little ball, and then just quarter it. Yeah. And then just roll them into balls again. I used about like 450 grams of potatoes with like 100 to 150 grams of flour. So that would serve like 2 to 3 people, depending on how big you want the portions to be. So yeah, you can, if you feel like that's not enough, you can bulk up the dish with like some sort of carbs, like maybe like add in some like bolotti beans or like white beans, or maybe like a bit more of a carb sauce like sweet potato or butternut squash, and you can like roast those in the oven and then just chuck them in the sauce at the end, so you get a bit more like of a hearty dish if like the gnocchi serving isn't enough for you. As long as your egg's not being cooked, just keep adding flour if it's too sticky, but like maybe like put the flour in your hand, rub it, and then knead the dough with your floured hands, as opposed to just dumping the flour straight in. Because
it can take a while. It's taken me quite a while to get mine, but I just keep on putting flour on my hands and then rubbing it in, and it does eventually take the stickiness away. It just might take a few minutes for it to work.
Yeah, I think, yeah, mine's taken quite long as well.
Yeah, it does take a while. I think because we only put the 100 grams in as well at first, it might take a bit more flour to get it to the right texture.
I can guess, like it's like it's all about like how it feels. So like to be fair, I don't know if I've probably gone over 150 grams right now because I've kept adding it. So yeah, definitely, like you can wing the flour part of it. Just start off with the like a little amount instead of going hard with all of it. Yeah. So with one of our quartered dough rounds, we're basically going to just start rolling it out into like a little sort of sausage slug. And we're just going to keep the surface floured, and just use our hands and keep rolling it out until we get like a nice snake thickness, let's say. And then once you've got like a nice thickness, again, this thickness depends on you as well. Like if you want like a proper thick gnocchi, then make them a bit, obviously like roll it out a bit longer. I mean, don't roll it out as long. And then you just get your knife and you're going to cut them to about, I don't really know measurements, an inch, let's say. And then, yeah, you've got your little pillow gnocchi. So yeah, just keep doing that with your whole length of snake. And then a little trick, if you don't want them this shape, you can get a back of a fork and just like roll them down, or if it's gonna work, it'll be funny if this doesn't work. One sec, my hands are shaking. Sorry. I think my gnocchis are too soft for this to work. we'll just cut them into pillows.
Yeah. Or pillows bake like this.
Yeah, it's when you cut it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, when you cut it, it just kind of goes into that shape automatically because you rolled it out.
And if you're going to put them in a bowl or a plate, maybe put them in a plate, because I think the last time I done it, I put it in a bowl and they kind of all got stuck to one another because of gravity. So just make sure you also like keep flouring in between every time you're going to pop the gnocchi somewhere.
Shayna, are you doing all 4 balls now?
That is a good question. Maybe not.
I've done 2, so should I do another one or should I just leave it at 2?
Maybe leave it at 2 for now.
Yeah?
Because I don't know, I think you guys might get bored just watching us roll out gnocchi
dough.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
These are mine. You can't really see them in this light, but I'm quite proud of these. Shayna, do you know how long this dough will keep in the fridge if somebody wanted to make a batch and then maybe make another one later on?
Yeah, you can keep it up in the fridge, like wrapped in cling film for a week, up to a week. You can also like kind of like cook them and also keep the cooked gnocchi in the fridge for up to a week as well. Go-to one all the time is probably just like the mac and cheese.
Yeah, that's our thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, otherwise it's probably like some sort of cupcake. You know?
Yeah, like a good cake. We like to bake, but probably the mac and cheese. That's always a crowd pleaser for everyone, and tastes so good. The recipe will be up for that soon, by the way. Session on the pie and the mac and cheese as well, so everyone can learn how to make it. Shayna, have you finished cutting up your?
Nearly. I'm nearly.
Okay, cool.
Gnocchi is actually slightly healthier than any like other pasta. So I mean, even if you're like trying to be a bit healthy and cut back on the carbs, you can still indulge in gnocchi. Yeah, it's because it's mostly potato, so you're getting your vegetables in, and there's less flour because of the potato. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the other 2 for now and just make this. So now, yeah, I guess make sure that your water is starting to boil or boiling, and then we're also going to start on just like the butter sauce, so that once the gnocchi has like fully cooked in the water, we'll quickly take it out and we're just going to like quickly fry it in the butter so it gets like a nice crisp edge as well. Also freeze them. Yeah, you can freeze the dough as well, and obviously keeps longer than a week in the fridge. Just leave it out when you want to defrost it. Leave it out so that it comes like on a outside on the surface, so it comes back up to room temperature, as opposed to like defrosting it in the fridge or whatever. And then just like kind of roll it out. Oh no, you don't need to roll it out. You've got your balls ready. Or yeah, if you're like freezing these, the big balls, then yeah, just once they're defrosted, roll them out into flour again and shape as you would like. I think show you guys what is actually going in the sauce. Let me just get rid of this other dough. Well, I'm using the same pot that I cooked the potatoes in, but you don't need to use that. Just enough so that your gnocchi can submerge a bit, so that when they float to the top of the saffron, you can do it. But so even if you're using a smaller pot, just like cook your gnocchi in batches, which is what I'm still not going to do because I didn't use all of the dough. But I normally cook gnocchi in batches anyway. And then, yeah, it's once they start floating to the top that you know that they're ready. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter how much water you use, as long as it's enough to like submerge the gnocchi. So we're going to use some butter for the sauce, some garlic, and I've got some thyme to use as like a herb. It would be really nice, like a really simple sauce. It's just like a burnt butter and sage one, but I don't have any sage, so we're going to go for thyme. And you can use any herb that you want, and everyone loves garlic, so why not? I'm also going to chuck in some kale and let that cook through just to bulk it up a bit as well again. And then some spinach too. And then I'm going to finish with I'm going to chop up some walnuts for it, chuck those in with some lemon zest and cheese. So that's what's going in. Saf said that she was going to make a tomato one as well, so she can say what she's going to put in that one.
I'm thinking I might just make the sauce along with you and then explain how I'm going to make the tomato one later, because I might do another batch of these tomorrow. So I think it'll be good if I cook along so that they can see the sauce as well. But for the other sauce, what I was just going to do is just take, because I've got some leftover tomatoes that I wanted to use. So I was just going to roast those in the oven, roast some garlic as well. Then just put some onions and some baby tomatoes in a frying pan, put those down, then put in the roasted tomatoes and the roasted garlic. Obviously wait for those to roast first before you start in the frying pan. Put those all down together, and then that will make a really nice garlicky tomato sauce. You can also add some herbs in there as well, as Shayna did. And then, yeah, easy sauce.
I'm just going to use that much butter, or maybe a bit more because it got a bit thin at the end, but like a tablespoon or a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. So what you guys like, it's up to you. I'll just add a bit more. And then I'll just put that to slowly melt down. Going to break up some garlic.
Shayna, how much garlic are you using?
I'm gonna go with 4 cloves. I think maybe 4
cloves.
Yeah, is that a lot?
No, that's fine. Girl, why are you asking me?
Just gonna lightly crush them. Chop them or mince them, because I don't want that the aroma in the butter, and your fingers will also not smell because we're not. So yeah, just like that. The butter is all melted. We just want to keep a bit of an eye on it, so that we want it to keep browning, but not until it's burnt. But also chuck in your garlic. And let the garlic slowly cook in there too. If you feel like you need more butter, then by all means cut some more up and pop that in. I'm just gonna get some thyme. Gnocchi doesn't need resting at all, which is why it's so easy, so quick. Yeah, you can use, well, as long as it's not self-raising. You could use spelt flour as an alternative. I've not personally tried it with spelt flour. Or, I mean, if you're gluten-free, you can just use gluten-free flour. You can also swap out the normal potato and use sweet potato if you wanted to make sweet potato gnocchi. But instead of boiling the potatoes, I would recommend just baking the sweet potatoes, because otherwise they'll retain a lot of the water. So yeah. I was actually tempted to go for like a creamy sauce, and I was going to use, I actually started soaking some cashews because I was going to make a cashew cream sauce, which is completely vegan as well. Yeah, which is vegan as well, but it is really indulgent. But I just thought the butter would be easier. Or I think making like a nice kind of gnocchi pesto salad would be good. So like doing it with like the butter beans, throwing in some pesto, and then like rocket or like peas as well. Yeah, but I think like a simple like butter cheese sauce is like always good. Hope that helped. Sorry, I'm still cutting my herbs off the stems. Cool. I'm just going to chuck my thyme into the pan now as well. And I think now I'm going to chuck the gnocchi in to boil, because I think my butter is nearly kind of, I can smell it. It smells like it's browning. Yeah, once your water is boiling, chuck a bit of salt into the water. And then we're going to put our gnocchi in. It should be like literally like maybe 2 minutes, possibly less, but as soon as they start floating to the surface, just take them out as they come up. And then yeah. Don't be sad if like some of them lose their shape as well, because I mean, once they come, I feel like once they come off the plate.
Putting a few in at a time, just because the pan is quite small, so you don't really want to lose the heat in the water, otherwise they won't cook properly. So I'm just doing them in batches, so I'll probably do 2 batches. They're starting to rise now, you can see a little bit, so I'm going to take them out of the water. Just as they come to the top. Shane, are you putting them straight into the butter?
Yeah, as soon as they cut. Oh, hi.
Straight into the butter, yeah, okay.
If you want to come close, you can see that they're rising up to the top. Those are that. So literally chuck that out and then chuck that straight in into our butter.
Okay, I lied. I'm gonna do 3 batches just because the water's not as hot anymore. So I'm gonna do it in 3.
I think the main one is just when they float to the top. Obviously, I'm cooking them a bit further anyway in this. But yeah, it's just when they float to the top. I think if you keep cooking them, maybe they'll just dissolve. But don't take my word for that. I could have just picked that up. I'm going to add in my kale now too. Only needs like 5 minutes, I think. So probably should have done that a bit earlier. But I'm just washing it and then I'm going to add it. I've removed the stems as well because we don't want to eat that. Okay, add some salt to your sauce too. Another way of like cooking the potatoes as well, you can also bake them instead of boiling them. That also might prevent like the issue of stickiness that Jace said that she had. It might be that there might have been too much water left in the potatoes when we boiled them, which could also mean why it was like taking longer for the dough to come together. So yeah, you could alternatively bake the potatoes and then just use the same amount like of baked potatoes. Potatoes are fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I've used normal potatoes in mine, so turned out good.
I'm gonna top up now. Using just like spinach, I'd recommend chucking that in like kind of more towards the end, just as we're about to, so after like add in the walnuts first, let them toast for a bit in the sauce, and then just as like you're about to take it off, then I'd say add in the spinach and just let it wilt in, as opposed to like cooking it down. Potato ricer, I think you can get them at Tesco, or I think this one was from IKEA. So, or I'm sure Amazon has them as well. But I think we got ours from IKEA. But yeah, this is just like how, I mean, you can't really see much, but we've got, there's like some that we've got a nice, oh, it's hot, crispy outside. Yeah. Now I'm going to add in the walnuts. And let those toast a bit through, and then they're basically done.
Shayna, are you just adding a handful of walnuts in?
Yeah, I just added in a handful.
Chopped up, yeah?
Yeah, chopped up. Obviously, if you're allergic, opt out. And then I'll just probably add in like a handful of spinach too, because there's a lot of care. And then going to just zest some lemon. You're also welcome to add in some juice, but I find that the lemon zest actually gives it a nice pop, enough of a pop. And then I think I'm going to call it and say it's done. But I mean, it is essentially it's essentially done when the gnocchi is cooked anyway. So it just depends on like what vegetables you've added in, like how long it takes for them to be done. So yeah, I'm just going to pour it into a bowl. Oh no, I didn't add my spinach. It's, oh well, oh well. Let's skip that. And then I'll just add, holding it like that. Zest. Oh, this is a big freaking thing. I bought this recently, it's so good. So you can, yeah, depending, if you cooked all your dough, because obviously we only rolled out 2 of our quarters, but use the whole zest. I've just used about half, and then I'll turn that off, and then I'll just sprinkle with some cheese. Some pepper. Anything wants to come out. I think olive oil is probably the best oil to cook with, not extra virgin olive oil. And well, I mean, with the healthiest, I don't know, it depends, like there's quite a few that have like different health benefits. I try and stick to coconut oil in baking if I am going to use oil, because it leaves such a strong flavour in the food. And sometimes I also like using avocado oil, but I think avocado oil is meant to be good for really high temperatures, but I found that it does actually cook, like, it's not that great. It burns like quicker. But yeah, there is going to be a post on the site about like oils and fats and like what's best to use for what, which is coming soon as well. I don't know what Saf's favorite oil is.
Yeah, I definitely use a lot of coconut oil. I find that really good, and it is really, really healthy, and it's so good for you. Other than that, yeah, olive oil. I try to avoid things like vegetable oil, sunflower oil. They're not really ideal. But yeah, anything like coconut oil, things like that are really good. I've never actually tried avocado oil, so that's one that I should try. But yeah, if you avoid vegetable oil, then you should be all good. Things like vegetable oil, sunflower oil, they're not good for you at all.
Guys, what about rapeseed oil? Is that good?
I think rapeseed oil is good as well.
Yeah, rapeseed oil is good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think macadamia nut oil, which is also good. Any like nut oils is good.
Yeah, nut oil is good. They have different flavors as well, so it kind of depends on what you're cooking, what is going to go well with the flavor combinations.
Yeah, I think cooking in the gnocchi in like a nut oil would be nice.
Yeah, nice.
The depth of flavor, as they say. Oh yeah, so this is bowl of gnocchi.
Yum.
So yeah, I forgot the spinach, as you guys all heard. But the gnocchi without the egg as well, so just with flour and potato. If you feel like you need something more to bind it, then obviously use some oil, olive oil. But yeah, if you wanted to try like vegan or dairy-free gnocchi, then yeah, just opt out the egg. And it's the same method, like with the potatoes and flour. I feel like Saf might host the next one completely, like take the lead on that. I think we're still about what is going to be made, but we're probably thinking that we'll go sweet next time.
Yeah, probably sweet. We were thinking of doing the apple and blackberry pie that we recently had up on our Instagram. So we will kind of let you guys know, but it will probably be the pie. If not, then definitely something sweet, since we've just done a savory dish. So yeah, let's get some baking.
Yeah. Or if you guys have anything that you want in particular.
Yeah.
We're very, what's the word? Versatile.
Thank you.
First, cook along.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Constructive criticism is welcomed, yes.
Yeah.
Nice, thanks. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a nice lunch or dinner or whatever you're gonna make it. So,
enjoy.
We don't have a theme tune for Spices Hay yet, so it's just gonna be ciao. Ciao.